Incense burning, all space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas.
Wow. That's amazing to be able to sit here and hear that wonderful song. And I just felt this arrival, the arrival of the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. Wow. I have to recollect myself for a minute. So good to see you. Welcome back, Joe and Sue. It's good to see everyone else here. Adri. Thank you, Sukha. There's a story that goes with these socks. I'll have to ask Sukha about them. So today, Venerable is still in Vermont, probably freezing. And we're here on this beautiful day. I'm going to talk to you about compass. Compass. Anybody here ever use a compass? Who's used a compass, right? Did it work for you? Did you find what you needed with a compass? Yeah. Good. Then I guess I'm done here. So compass, we need our compasses. And, really right now we have GPSs, so we really probably don't have the kind of skill set that we once had. But certainly if you go out in the wilderness, it's probably a good thing to have. Last Thursday, I was sitting in this chair and we talked about, come on in, Bill. We talked about what Vasita talked about. If you were here, you probably remember. And then we talked Tuesday, Venerable and Brian opened up meditation for us. And we talked about the 3 parts of the meditation. And then I talked about the 4 immeasurables. So Vasita talked about attachment to self. Again, she gave us examples of what that looks like. She showed us and gave us examples on how to erode attachment, the benefits to releasing ourselves from that attachment, and with practice and courage, being able to release that. Because what she said was attachment, self-attachment. Attachment to self is the root of our suffering. As long as we're clinging and holding and grasping and holding ourselves tight and close, we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer. And most of us here have enough years behind our belt that we have lots of layers to remove, to get down to that place where we can really expand on the four immeasurables. Who remembers the four immeasurables? Nancy, loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, altruistic joy. All right. Okay, you all get an A. But you only get an A if you really practice it. And one of the things I said on Thursday was, that's what we carry with us if we're really going to practice this. It's not about, I can tick it off, check, check, check. It's really about holding it, not loosely, but close. And as we walk out, step by step, no matter who we see, what the circumstances are, what impacts us, whether we wake up in a foul mood or get to be in a foul mood or have an incredible day, those four immeasurables, immeasurable. We can't measure it. How wonderful. How wonderful that we can have that right here. The meditations help support that. So on Tuesday, we talked about the 5 elements. Remember those, what they are? Who knows what they are? This is still part of the quiz.
Earth, fire, water, and space,
Air and space. So you have 5. And this is how we're made up, all 5 of these. And so the meditation was, as you're sitting there and the thoughts and the storylines come through, that we imagine those elements. And like elements, you can't throw things onto the earth. It just doesn't get rattled by it. Although we know with all the work that's been done over the years that there is some issues around environment, but truly the impact of what circumstances come to us, the elements really can just let them go. Let them go. Anapanasati, single point focus. And we talked about breath coming in at the nose, going out at the nose, not following the breath, but in and out. Okay, just that, just that, just that, just that. And if that's all you do, imagine this nervous system just relaxing, just letting go. You feel it now, just letting it go. And then she read a section, and I read a section from the King of Prayers. And we're really, in that regard, we're looking at contemplative illumination. That it comes in and can hold us, that we get beyond the thinking, that we get beyond the storylines, the construction. I remember one time I was sitting Zen and I got to go in and have a session with a teacher. And I said, I just can't, this was years ago, can't sort myself out. She goes, me either. And I'm like, what? She goes, I have built so many bookcases and fences and so forth. So it's not an easy thing, but it's possible with time and
diligence.
What?
Diligence.
Diligence and practice. Practice. When we look at the 4 immeasurables, we know that equanimity, although if the regular list, it's the last one, without that, the other 3 really aren't going to serve us well. Equanimity is groundedness. Just ease. The mind is balanced. All right. Then we can step into loving kindness for those that might be difficult and for those that might be easy. Then we can have compassion. Just on the drive in, Busita and Ruby and I were talking about compassion. And when you hear stories and the compassion, that is not something that just comes, it's something that we have to manifest. Sympathetic joy, altruistic joy, appreciative joy. I kind of land on appreciative joy. To me, it says, I appreciate the joy that you are experiencing. And to not hold it with, I wish it was me. But no, really, really, I am so joyful for you. If you were here on Sunday or Tuesday or Thursday or saw the video, I'm wondering what you walked away with. I'm wondering where it settled with you, how it landed with you. Because like we've been saying for a long time, if all you do is come here and sit here on Sunday and don't walk out the door and say, I'm going to keep working on that. I'm going to take that and I'm going to work it. I'm going to chew it. I'm going to move it around and make it work for me. Then it's of no use. Then samsara is going to be something you will experience today, tomorrow, and the next life. You got to take it and work with it. You got to take it and own it. You got to be with it. You got to say, yeah, I'm going to hold this true. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What carried you? Not that it all did, but what one piece? And remember, when you do share, we have a ceiling mic that you got to really talk loud. No yelling. Inside voice, but loud inside voice. Yeah.
Many things.
Mm.
However, I think that the practice of considering everything myself as elements has been really beneficial in sitting on the pillow and thinking I belong in this universe instead of feeling the box I put around myself. It has made me feel more expansive to feel those elements that are everywhere, that I belong as much as they do. And that has helped me let go of self in a way that has been more connecting and freeing.
Where did you feel that?
It's almost like the parameters of my physical body dissolve.
Beautiful. Taylor, right? Were you going to say something?
I think the imagining of elements and like emotions kind of being something that's impermanent and natural and element is helpful for me. If I at times can really attach to emotions, let's say like anger and like act unspokenly in those moments, you know, so like on a practical level this week and in general it's been helpful to see that as something that's just an impermanent kind of nature that can pass in my body. I guess, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Does anybody not connect with that? That emotions can come in and in some cases take over. And what I'm hearing you say is, it's just impermanent. It comes and goes. This is not, in some ways, not real. Not that your anger, I can be angry, I can be sad, I can be happy, I can be joyful, but they're all just going to pass. They're all just going to pass. Unless you grab, unless you grasp, unless you cling. No, no, no. This is who I am. This is what I want to be. This is me. This is how I've always been. And they have to be that way. And that's what I hear you saying. Nice. Others. Yes. I'm Sacha.
We are here, something that's been with me this week, especially after Day of Silence monastery. So we're really here due to the causes of the conditions. And so in order to release ourselves from this state that we're in, we have, can we restart?
No.
Oh, we have to apply the appropriate and correct causes and conditions to undo the causes and conditions that we're in. So what we're learning, like the four Brahma Viharas, to me, all of the 6 paramitas and the 10 wholesome courses of actions are ways in which we should live our life in order to support the state of meditation that we're trying to get into so that we can undo the causes and conditions. So these practices are the correct causes and conditions in order to eradicate the causes and conditions. That's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And that's a lot of words.
I'm sorry.
But what that looks like for you this week, one time this week that this showed up, what did it look like in real time for you then? An example of causes and conditions that you applied the Brahma Viharas or the 4 immeasurables. Remember, there are 5, 6, 7 different names of those.
So obviously a selfish or a greedy thought will arise.
And it did this week.
It did, of course,
Right.
because they always do.
Right.
And then remembering first, coming to the first important thing is all of this is impermanent. So equanimity being kind of like the root of our practice, but that none of this belongs to a me anyways. So applying that, like Venerable says, applying a salve on a burn at the moment it happens. So like practical application, but basically like immediately coming to none of this is mine anyways. It doesn't belong to me. All of this is emptiness. And so just getting to that, anytime any of those thoughts come up, it's like, it's not mine. It can't be. It's a fact. It can't be.
So that, just to stick with that for a minute,
Okay.
I'm being selfish, or that's selfish.
Mm.
What they just did is that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Judgment. And then, I mean, if you work it enough, you feel it. Ooh. It's, it's the second arrow. You all remember the second arrow? No, I get a quizzical. An arrow that we shoot out. And then the second arrow is here. And that's where we get got, the second arrow. And then we realize what we've done out here. So it's being aware enough, having practiced enough, having been in touch enough to know when it comes up and go, ooh. Or someone, as I would say, steps on your toes. And being able to say, ow, that hurt. Instead of yelling and screaming, what are you thinking? That was not nice. And then, but be able to just, that hurt. And then be able to say, that really hurt. But I'll look at my part in this. Thank you. Others? I think we're needing the mic, you said?
It's just a little bit better.
Okay.
And then in the moment of, oh, I was being selfish, there's also the self-judgment.
Mm.
Shame on me
For
being
second
selfish,
arrow.
for being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's really needs that are good for us, but just getting into the whole conceptual framework of, and so a lot of my Buddhist practice, I've noticed how much of it is conceptual.
Mm.
And so it's like the getting into the concept of, oh, you shouldn't do that, that's bad. to, want to have something for yourself, shame on you.
And then underneath that, just one second there. Just underneath that, besides shame on you comes what? You go anywhere beyond shame on you? You do something that was selfish, shame on you for feeling that way, or shame on you for feeling that way.
Well, it's recognizing that that's underlying, and like everything else, it's like, that's also attachment.
It's
And then
attachment.
releasing that attachment as well. But I've noticed that it's much more complex. I think it's much more complex with all the layers of the concepts and the back and forth, virtuous, non-virtuous, being good, being bad, this concept, that concept, that, and also getting in the trap of being the bodhisattva and, like being selfless and all of my attention on others when there's still an underlying strategy that is preventing us from really experiencing that.
So I would agree. I would probably change the words, of course, because we're looking at it through the same lens, but with different colors on the lens. But I guess I see it differently than concepts. I see it as what's truly, I mean, it's what we're learning. It's the language that we have. But it's also,
language prajna.
Yeah, it's all that, but to not get that going underneath that language prajna, going underneath what is really going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is the underlying structure that's giving rise to that?
What's the underlying feeling? What's the underlying experience? Yeah.
Regina has something.
Yes. Hi, Regina.
Hi, Regina.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We're not hearing anything.
Not yet.
There we go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, great. I was going to say, I think I have developed a little sense for when everything is not quite in the right tune. And so it's just a feeling. It's not even a judgment anymore or anything of that. It's just like, oops, like oopsie or something like that. That comes much, much quicker than anything else. And then the sense, okay, this is now a practice opportunity. And then I can easily go, but it really comes in the meantime. I can go either to the Brahma Viharas, and I have to say, it gives me pause now to hear so much about equanimity. So maybe I'll train now to go to equanimity first, to the extent I'm able, right? And then to see which one of the other three are most appropriate, or get a feel for that. Or often I go to either generosity or patience of the paramitas.
Mm-hmm.
And because either generosity or patience really helped me a lot to redirect as a feeling, or like greed or jealousy or anger or any kind of aversion, and get that on a bit of a different track. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Nice work. Okay. Tina, you had something? No, you're finished? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, Brian.
So there's been a lot going on in the Middle East. And I would go quickly to equanimity when I would not respond and watch. I didn't feel a need to respond, but first equanimity, and then loving kindness to the people who are responding on Facebook in ways that show the pain they have and the difficulty they're living with. It's an interesting process to watch how I can try to remain settled and not let myself get drawn into one side or the other side. through this process.
Mhm. And we could really draw that out, to the grocery store, to driving in the car and someone shoots in front of you or goes through. The other day, I saw someone go through a red light and I went, hey, you went through a red light. And knowing that, even that we've got to, my brother would teach my niece 5 heartbeats before you go into the intersection when it turns green. And that's a great way, but that's truly the same. It's the taking that pause, taking that time before stepping in, checking yourself. Am I in the right place to say anything? Is this going to be doing harm or good to myself and to others with whatever circumstances arise? Equanimity, clear-minded, calm, waiting to step in. Our tendency is to want to jump in without even finishing, because halfway through whatever they're saying, we've already formulated or begun to formulate what it is we want to say in response. But to really step back and really listen, what are they saying? And then go into the rest of the Brahma Viharas or 4 immeasurables of what's my compassion here? What am I feeling here? Even though I might be having a strong reaction, I'm noticing strong reaction here. That's the work. That's the intention. Deidre.
On the subject of like Middle East or anything like that. Okay. I just feel like I hear the universe crying.
Mm.
That's what I feel.
Mhm.
And, I guess I'm crying too. So I think it's just feeling and listening
Mhm.
and, just trying to send out whatever you think is like good to the world.
Mhm.
Because it's humans, it's animals, it's plants, it's everything that's suffering.
That's right. Everything that's suffering. And it is there because it's in the news, and we're privileged at some level to know it's happening. So we could, but we're choosing not to bury our heads. But the suffering is in so many places, our own neighborhoods, and being able to step into those 4 immeasurables or the Brahma Viharas, and with loving compassion, to be able to share that, to put our metta out to them. I was sharing, the people I live with, my mandala knows this. I was sharing with Brian on Thursday. We live, for those of you that haven't been to the monastery, we're a block up from Asheville Highway. And at the very end of that road to Asheville Highway from the monastery is the fire station. And I started about 2 months ago. Every time I hear a siren, I stop and I give out metta to the people who are going out on the call and to wherever they're going. May they be safe. May they get to where they need to be and get those that need their help, get the help. And then may they get to where they need to be, whatever circumstances they are. And it's remarkable how it also allows me to take that moment and just settle. And just settle. So it's speaking to a lot of, Deidre, what you're talking about is that being able to extend that compassion and to understand it, like Nancy, where your whole self is starting to expand. What a beautiful thing. Not always easy. What a beautiful thing. So I wonder, I was thinking about this talk today, and I was intentional on Thursday. I wanted to bring in Sunday's talk and Tuesday's practice with Brian and the Tonglen and the 3 methods that Venerable taught, because we're kind of, she's been talking about wanting to head to meditation. And I'm thinking, what today? Where am I going to go with this? And a compass kind of came into view. And I was talking with Brian, a little bit, and my Sangha sisters, and I wondered what keeps us from going deeper in our practice. What are our obstacles? How do we get caught up into our day-to-day living and not really check in with ourselves? For days and weeks, I read the Holy Monk book that we probably looked at months and months ago. And in the back, there's the prayagas, the preliminaries. And I would just read those every morning. Read those. Life is a bubble. It's a flash of lightning. I would go through the whole thing. And I wouldn't go into the actual practice. I would just do that. And I would walk it out every day. That was my intention. We are on a short rope. Some of us might be shorter than others, but who's to know? I was reading another book, and the teacher was writing, we may have 30 years. We may have 30 months. We may have 30 weeks. We may have 30 days. We may have 30 minutes. We may have 30 seconds. And how shall I live? Mary Oliver says, and what will you do with this one wild and precious life? What keeps coming up for me is that we all are here today and we're receiving the Buddha Dharma. And we have a teacher and teachers, all of us, working with each other, talking with each other, teaching with each other the Buddha Dharma. That even if it's 30 seconds or 30 weeks or 30 months or 30 years, we don't know. Any one of us could be gone in a flash of lightning, a bubble. Well, I have said and done the best that I can do. We've entered the path for receiving the teachings. And what's our goal? What's our end goal? Why? I've shared with many of you, it's the what, so what, now what? So what? So what? Where's my energy? Where is my desire? Where's my intention? The bottom line is if we get sick and the doctor gives us a prescription, and even if that doctor sits with us, if we choose not to take it, so what? You get to choose. You get to choose. I've had, and you all know, 2 knee replacements and a hip replacement. And it's been a rough go these last 2 years, all 3 things in 2 years. And I have been getting physical therapy and body work, and because that's a lot on your body to do all 3 in 2 years. I didn't think so at the time. I grew up in a family, just walk it off. So that's what you do, but that's not the case here. So I'm told this is what you should do. And when the physical therapy that I'm having now, I spend 40 minutes with the therapist, and then the rest of the time is with the PT assistant going over my home program. My home program. So if I don't do it, what happens? The next day or the next time I go in to see him, it hurts more. The next time I go up and down the steps, it's harder. Right? If the doctor gives you a prescription, and even if the doctor sits there with you and you choose not to take it, then what? Right? So we all have a choice. And I guess that's what was sitting with me. I saw a naturopath. I'm sure I shared some of this with you one time years ago, having some gut issues. And she said, well, what we can do is we'll take everything out of your diet and then we'll slowly reintroduce. And I'm sure you've heard this method. And I'm sure I kind of went everything out. And she looked at me and she said, well, what are you willing to do to feel better? And that has stuck with me all these years. It's been at least probably 20 years. And I've shared that with the kids that I used to work with. And what are you willing to do to feel better? So I say that to you. What are you willing to do to feel better? What are you willing to do to feel better? So recently I saw a video that started like this. And it says, I have a few questions. These are very simple, and you will be able to answer them. Are you having a good day? How many are having a good day? Oh, okay. Why? Why are you having a good day? Because you're alive.
Because I chose to.
Because you chose to.
No reason not to be.
No reason not to be.
What's the alternative?
I don't know. What is the alternative?
Just kind of be like, this is just the way it is.
The alternative is kind of a lousy day.
Okay. Mimi, are you having a bad day? Maybe some of you are having a bad day.
But I put that out in the perspective of, that's your alternative. You can choose
Right.
it to be, or you can choose it to be. So that was my exact point. What's your alternative?
Well, there's a lot of alternatives, right? What makes a good day for you? What makes a good day? Nancy?
I wake up and the first thought is gratitude. I get another day. And then I watch the sun come up.
Mhm.
And so I feel connected with everything.
Nancy.
And so I feel connected when I watch the sun come up and I see my husband smile. These things, it's these little things. It's nothing, and I don't tend to grasp at something to worry about.
Okay. Others, what makes a good day for you?
Engaging in Buddhist practice.
Okay, so studying.
I'm not as good at noticing the small little things like that. I get really hard on myself. So what helps me get into a good day is if I actually am disciplined in my practice. And that always ends up putting me at that place that you say you can naturally do.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Selma, are you inferring to feelings when you say?
No, what
How
makes,
are you feeling?
Yeah.
Is it a good day? Are you feeling like it's a good day?
is it a good day? What makes you feel like it's a good day?
So it's about feelings.
What's about whatever it is for you? Whatever it is, what creates a good day for you?
When I feel really connected in my spiritual practice.
Okay, when you feel connected to your,
Connected or moving forward or moving deeper.
okay,
Feel that something has occurred.
all right. Right. So these are the questions she asked. She also asked, when you're having a bad day, what creates a bad day for you? What is that? Anybody?
My husband.
Your husband creates a bad day for you.
I mean, if we have an argument.
Okay.
That's definitely a bad.
A bad day when there's an argument.
Yeah.
Okay. Others. What creates a bad day for you? Brian,
Loved ones in pain.
loved ones in pain. Okay. Others.
I try to find something good in every day and not have bad days.
Really? So you don't have bad days? That's great.
Well, things happen, but there's always a lesson to learn, and then I'm grateful for the lesson or the awareness of a setback. So I get a chance to move forward. So
Okay.
it's a good day.
Okay. Brian.
I should have put a caveat that bad moments,
Yeah.
not bad days.
Okay. Bad moments. We'll go with that. What creates a bad moment?
When I break one of the 10 good characteristics. The other day, I told Lucina this. David,
A little louder.
the other day, David was in the living room and he was in pain and he wanted to go and lay down on the bed, which is difficult for him. And he said, "Did you make the bed yet?" Well, I wanted him to go in and I said, "No." And then I quick went in and unmade the bed. And immediately as I said it, I'm telling a lie. Tiny, but a lie is a lie. And just that awareness, that isn't bad. It was bad, but it was, oops.
Yes.
I think also letting other people influence you, for me, influence your day. The moments.
Mhm. So then in this video, this woman asked, tomorrow, would you rather have a good day or a bad day? And the next day, so Monday, Tuesday, she went on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a week from today. Which would you rather have, a good day or a bad day? And the last question she asked was, would you really answer the question, I'd really like to have a bad day? You know, there are people that do that. I just need a bad day, or I need an excuse to stay home from work. I'm having a bad moment. I had some teacher friends that were like that. And they couldn't just allow themselves to say, take a day just to catch their breath. So I'm prompting you to try to look at how you are in the world and what influences you. How do you get impacted? I guess it's kind of hard for me to believe that you all don't have those moments that might go into a day or maybe even the next day. We certainly experience that. We have a practice at the monastery that instead of, in Theravadan lineage, that the nuns once a month go to confession. And when we talked about that last weekend down at the ceremony, the Katina ceremony, Venerable said, we don't do that. We do it every day. She expects that when something comes up that you deal with it then. And when you live with people, you work with people, you're going to have moments. And that's going to trigger something in you. It just is. So be honest right now. I'm not asking you to, but just look at that and look at the impact when somebody says or does something. When I was working with teenage girls, it was the look. And I would say to them, what happened? And they said, she looked at me. Wow. And that happened a lot. Boys were different. Boys did it a different way. I won't say what they would do, but girls were different in that regard. What leads you to having a bad day or a bad moment? What is it? Yeah, Nancy.
I don't know how to skillfully respond.
that can make me feel very like I don't know, I don't have prajna wisdom yet
Mm.
to know how to do that. And it could be, you know, Brian's better if he gets one of those rare, right, looks from me. He usually laughs and goes, "Oh, that's the one." But I think that instead of the way to be more like water, let it wash off, or not an element, is more of maybe not running away from it and taking it inside the way my habit is,
Mm.
but to have enough courage to say, "Would you say that again?"
Mm.
And make them look at their own. And then if they do, is, you know, I would have had that pause to reflect, maybe for something to arise on how to more skillfully say why it hurt me or
Mhm.
know what to do.
Mhm. That's a great strategy. And there's lots of them out there for us. But just like practice, just like going and doing our meditation practice or whatever practices we have, if we don't apply it, and sometimes we just don't, you know, that's the reality. You got a big oops. And then you have to go back and say, you know, I was in a state, or I wasn't thinking, or I wasn't, and I'm really sorry if that hurt you, or when that hurt you, how that hurt you. I want you to remember with me, and we're gonna roll way back. We're gonna roll back to Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. You remember that? Anybody not know Alexander? You know it, right? You don't know it? It's a book. It's a children's book. And I would read it to the children I worked with. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. This is Alexander. It's a book about him. And Alexander could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. He went to sleep with gum in his mouth and woke up with gum in his hair. When he got out of bed, he tripped on his skateboard and by mistake dropped his sweater in the sink while the water was running. He could just tell that it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. It was terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Nothing at all was right. Everything went wrong, right down to lima beans for dinner and kissing on TV. And the book goes on. I won't read the whole thing. Are you getting my point? We can get into those places because we're human beings, and we have a lifetime, however long that lifetime is, of getting into that place. And no matter how good we are invested in and practicing the Dharma, we're going to have those moments. And the thing that you started alluding to was that it's all about what's out here. It's all about external. What goes on outside of ourselves? Someone cut you off. The news on the radio or the TV, what someone said or didn't say, what someone did or didn't do. What happened to Alexander? It was all external for him. All external. So as I've continued to study and reflecting in my days, in my moments of bad, my moments of good, I really started thinking, what is in me? Because we all carry our backpack of emotional upbringings and practices and, you know, messages. What is it in me? Because if I'm out here being triggered by what's out here or being set off by what's out here, getting what we want getting what we think we want, not getting what we want, not getting what we think we want, any of that, even if it's for a second, it impacts our very being. And the neat thing here that I'm hearing is that you all are catching yourselves. You're noticing. Yeah.
So I appreciate the direction in which you just took that. Because external factors are as they are. Several of you know I am not having an easy, glamorous year. And yet, and that's for me right now, a really good saving space. And yet, and to turn all the external causes, which are damn well beyond my control, and looking internally at so much of what we've already discussed and the essence of the elements, and not Nina, and not teacher, and not Dave's fill in whatever the blank Dave and I are, not any of that, but the real essence and energy and why I am here in this space right here, right now. What is my role in the grand scheme? And to be able to let go of some of all of the external storm or joy or any of it, and yet look at the true role of my essence and nature, my why statement, and I look at myself and say, and yet you bring unity, you bring community, you bring people together, and I may feel this, and yet I still have this gift and this opportunity and these elements to do something beyond myself and to look at the and yet an opportunity that I can bring. When I can get out of that causal stage, even briefly, and yet, that even if it's just an instant, it's better.
And I would encourage you, and probably the rest of us, to not go to the external of even that, to look internal and say, what is this? Because it does, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it doesn't matter what goes on here, what you do or don't do. It's what goes on here, what goes on inside. Because all of that is external. That external can make us happy. That external can make us angry. That external can make us have a bad day. How many times did you hear, especially I know children, you made me angry. You make me this, right? It's all external to ourselves. Even the happiness is external. The happiness, the joy, the delight, the bad, the unhappiness, the distraughtness, frustration. Have you ever seen a balloon up in the sky? You know, sometimes someone lets go, a little child has a balloon, it goes up, and the balloon never just sits there. It gets tossed about because the winds, they change. There's all sorts of factors that make that balloon move. And that's the same with us. We have all these factors that impact us. Now, I've talked about the brain and the amygdala and how it can be upregulated, and it's our alert system. And when something happens, when something's up, it's good, it's bad, it fires. And when it fires big, it shuts down what's called the hippocampus, which is the storage. It stores all the information and it shuts it down. And then when that gets shut down, the prefrontal cortex acts without the information from the hippocampus. Okay? But this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mind. The mind is something very different. If you look up what mind is in the dictionary, you see the state of remembering or of being remembered, memory or recollection. But the second part of that is the part of a person that feels, perceives, thinks, wills, especially reasons, the mind. And most of what goes on for us is mind-made. We've heard that. We've heard that. Given a free rein, thoughts create the whole of samsara. If we let our minds go, that's what engages us into suffering and samsara. The unexamined mind, without really looking at it, creates the suffering, the challenges. Even virtuous thoughts, without being examined. The mind does that, and then we go and we grasp at that. Without exception, thoughts are completely void. Without exception, thoughts are completely void. It's what we create with them. It's what we create with them. The mind can remain free without those obscuring thoughts. It's what we choose to create with the mind. Yeah.
So how do we, is it through meditation that how do we change that? In other words, I would like to come to a point where instead of holding what's in the mind, just, like, let's say something that hurt me before doesn't hurt me anymore. It just goes and it's okay and it changed. So how do we do that in our everyday life? Like, how do we just say, oh, okay. Is it through meditation? Is it through looking within? Or is it all those things or more?
What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that I would like to be able to do it through meditation, but I don't know, I'm not that wise as to how to meditate in order to be able to do that. Or I would just be able to want to be able not to hold on to things and just like let it go. It's not that important.
Okay, so what keeps you holding on?
The movie,
The movie.
yeah.
Okay.
Whatever happens, and then that movie goes along with that.
Uh-huh.
And then it's hard to, I guess I don't know how to let go of that.
You don't?
Well, I guess I do because I have with certain things.
Okay.
But I guess like what happens with anybody, something you've done it for such a long time that it feels so comfortable for you
There it is.
that it's hard
There's
to let go.
habitual tendencies, and we all have them, right? It's what we cling to. It's like, oh yeah, and you get to the point where you say, oh, there I go again. There I go, there it is. Oh, there it is. I know I've shared this with many of you, if not all of you. I went to a retreat at IMS, and the teacher gave instructions in the morning as they do before meditation. And this guy was from Canada, and he had this wonderful French accent. And he gave us instructions, and he said, before we started, he says, now, when you sit, you will have thoughts, and they'll come in. Now, you can let them continue, and you can weave a story around them, or you can say, hello, love, not now. Which is being kind, right? Being kind. It's the loving kindness. Instead of saying, geez, there's that thought and then you're going to go down that thought. Why do I always do this? And then you're going to go down. But you get to just say, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, I do that, but not this time. I don't need that. Yeah.
And yet I noticed it, which can change that paradigm. It goes back to what I was saying, it's the and yet you notice it.
And so it's catching, and it's with intention. Today, I'm going to catch myself just one time Today, and then at noon, you're going to review and you're going to say, how did I do this morning? And then the afternoon, you're going to stop and you're going to say, okay, how did I do today? How was that? And then at night to reflect. You know, we've talked about that. Venerable talks about how important reflection is. And I, you know, I make it a real practice of stopping and looking at how I do what I do. And I really got to that, one of my teachers, my Zen teachers in Portland, I was trying to learn the precepts and I was just like, there's just so many. He says, take one and be with it for the day. And halfway through the day, look and see how you're doing. And then in the afternoon, at the end of the afternoon, look at how you're doing. And then at night, say, how did I do today? And just be with it, have just an open awareness of it. And with time, if there's a desire, you know, if there's not excuse making and this is how I am and this is how oh, there you are. There I am telling the story. I don't need the story now. Unless, of course, you do. And that's a whole nother, yeah.
I think we need to lighten up. And not take ourselves, all those things quite so seriously, because that in itself is a hindrance.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
I
true.
blew it again. Okay, I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to have a second arrow and not an entire quiver to throw yourself on.
Yeah.
And then not even need a second arrow.
Well, we are in samsara. We are in samsara, and we are, you know, one of the things we're trying to step away from is suffering. And some of us are farther along on the continuum than others. Some of us have been at it longer than others. Some of us have been doing it and still, you know, do the autobiography in 5 short chapters. Walk down the street, fall in the hole. It's not my fault. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how to get out. Walk down the same street, fall in the second hole or the hole again. I did it again. What happened? How did I do this? But I see I'm in the hole. Walk down a third time. I fall in the hole. I see I'm in the hole. I see how I get in here. I don't want to do this. Walk down the last time. I walk around the hole. The next time I walk down a different street. I get to do it differently. And it comes with that thinking. It comes with that ability, that desire, that intention. It's the mind that conceives. Okay? It's the mind that conceives hope, loss, hate, love, faith, and taming the mind and persevering. Persevering. Think of a thing that you wanted to do and you did it. Just recently, I started playing the ukulele. And I ordered it for my birthday a year ago, and it stayed in the bag, and I let it sit there. And then Sacha, I'm working on that. I keep wanting to say Yeshi, and it is. Yes, Yeshi, I say, can we play together? And so we've been doing that. And I'm trying to bring along my good friend, Milani, in the process. So, but you know, on Thursday, we were driving away from the Dharma Hall, and I said to Sacha, with intention, I say, Sacha, you want to strum today? And she said, yeah. And next thing I know, we're in the living room. Well, first I hear her strumming, and so I come out with my ukulele and we start strumming. And one of the things that started happening is that we get just 3 chords over and over again. See, I got them right out. And it got easier and better. And even though I have a little pause between moving from one chord to the next, we figure out how to make that happen. And over time, and then she's singing, so making up words to the chords. And now I'm up to six chords, maybe 7. It's what? With intention and with a little help from my friend. Well, that particular day, we invited Reba and we invited Busita and we had drums and we had shakers and we were really belting out the tunes, or Sasha was belting out the tunes, but we were strumming away with intention, with perseverance, with joy, with very sore fingertips, right? You can do it if you really want to. If you really want to. We have a time. It's great fun. And I think it brings a wonderful energy into the house, into the monastery, and it allows us to be together. So there's lots of opportunity outside of just, I want to learn to play the ukulele. So let's think about our practice as a tool. And so we'll talk about the view. The view is learning about the Dharma. It's the teachers teaching the Dharma. It's reading. It's getting, you get a tool and you decide, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the tool I need. Then, so we get the teachings, and then we move into meditation. And the meditation is like practicing. You start using that tool. You start figuring out how it works. So you start allowing. I know, having visited Brian's workshop, he's got lots of tools and they do lots of things. But if I were to go down there, because I would love to be able to do, I'd want just one tool. I'm not playing a lot of instruments. I'm going to do one ukulele. Meditation, choose one. That's what Venerable said on Tuesday. Choose one and really do it and be consistent. And she offered and invited us to do it twice a day. Right? Just so the tool is meditation, and it's working it. And you're sitting on the cushion, or you're sitting in the chair, or you're sitting outside under a tree, or you're walking and you're meditating and you're using all these other tools that we learned with the view. And then finally, it's the action, the tool, it's the outcome. You've been using this tool, you found the right tool, because this is what you want to do. You've been practicing it, and now look at what you've created. You're walking it out. You no longer are telling the story, or not the whole story. You caught yourself halfway through, or even a quarter of the way through. Right? It comes with time. There's a freedom that comes with this. There's a freedom that comes with this. So what do we do? What do we do? You sit here, say, yep, walk out the door and do the same old thing. Or do we say, just for today, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to take one thing from what Soma said, or what Kusita said, or what Venerable said, or what Joe said when he was teaching what is cultivation, or Dharma cultivation, or what I read in the book. And I'm going to walk it out. And I'm going to stop partway through the day, say, how am I doing? Or I'm going to say to my Sangha members, check in with me, will you? Because I'm really going to practice this. Can we strum today? Because I know if I wait too long, my fingers are going to get soft and they're going to hurt every time and then guess what? I don't want to do it anymore. I really do. So then if I practice more, these are going to get toughened up. And I'm going to be able to play that ukulele. And someday maybe Busita and Reba And Sacha and I will come in, we'll sing our song with you. Because it's that much joy and that much fun. I do have to say something. So Reba didn't want to play the drum. She did not want to do it. And she was bold enough to get a bag of Halloween candy, and Maya helped us out by taking part of the good ones with her. What was left was Kit Kats, is that what they're called? You know, they're just not my thing. So here comes Reba into the living room, and we cajoled her into playing. So there's, I have to. There's Reba. It was so much fun. And then there was Basita standing by the fireplace, rocking out with the shakers. And Sacha was putting beautiful words to the song, and there we were playing and having a wonderful time.
I think self-care is very important, Reba.
So, you know, you see, it's not all taking ourselves too hard or too much. It's knowing what we want and being willing to step into that. Not just for a day, but each day. I used to tell the kids when I was running, I built an alternative school, and the kids that came to us because they were about to be expelled for drugs and alcohol or violence. So they came to us. And they would come and they would say, I have to be here. And I didn't say, well, if you didn't do that, and if you didn't do that, I didn't say that. And I didn't say, well, you know, you need to do things differently. I didn't do that. You know what I said to them? You get to come. You get to come here. You get to be with us. And every kid that came was the 3 W's: welcomed, wanted, and worthy. Every child. It's the attitude. It's how we do what we do. And the powers that be were very concerned because we had big breezeway that had lots of glass, and we had one of the staff put plants in all the windows in the breezeway. And they were like, you can't have that though. Those are gonna, for 5 years, not one incident with those plants. And they grew and they thrived. And in fact, the only incident that we had in the 5 years that I was there was a student came out of the classroom and slammed the door into the wall. That was it. Violent drug and alcohol kids. That was the only incident in 5 years. Why? Because of the attitude. Because they were welcomed and wanted and worthy. And I say that to you. You know, Buddha said, don't listen to me, try it out. Now, most of you have done that. You're here because you're not just trying it out, you're stepping in. And here's an opportunity as we move forward in the Dharma to step deeper in, to step into your practice. And even if it's one small step, take that. Take that. I was going to invite us to do a meditation, but instead, I'm going to stop here. We'll let school out early. Don't tell the principal. I want it to settle, so we will just take a few minutes and just sit. And just sit and just let a lot of words, a lot of talk, a lot of wonderful sharing, incredible energy. Just sit with me here for just a couple of minutes. May all living beings always be peaceful and happy, and maintain the causes of peace and happiness, loving kindness. May all living beings always be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, compassion. May all living beings always be free from suffering, and my own heart be delighted about this, sympathetic joy. May all living beings stay far away from greed and anger and abide in non-differentiating generosity, equanimity.